Do Chat.
Greetings to anyone listening, he said ambitiously. I am Cal Carrot, spoiler alert, that's not my real name. And I'm joined here by my esteemed colleague and good friend, Mr. Dude Law. How are you, sir?
Very good, very good. Looking forward.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so you are all listening to the pilot episode of Dude Chat. So, what is Dude Chat and why are we doing it? Also, what is Dude Chat not? I want to lay out the table here from the start. Dude Chat is not some wacky thing about, Family Guy episode, Dingo and the baby, wow, like that's not our shtick. That gets real old real quick. So there'll be elements of that, a little bit of comedy here and there. We like to have fun, but we're hoping to cover some quite serious topics, get our thoughts out there. We're going to do a couple of segments per show. I'll be covering some hot topics from the week's headlines, looking at a larger, broader topic, and then generally finishing on something a little bit more light-hearted, some kind of top 10, or who's the greatest at this, or who would you pick in a fight, or something like that. The reason I'm doing it is because I'm extremely opinionated, and the vast majority of my friends and family don't want to hear it anymore. My good friend Dude Law seems to enjoy it. Enjoys the back and forth, and I believe that our chat's quite insightful, quite meaningful and interesting. Plus the perception of having an audience causes one to be a bit more mindful of what they're saying and focuses one's mind and forces you to present a more formulated argument. That's why I'm doing it. So, Dude Law, why are you here?
Well, very much for similar reasons to you, and I was thinking about it when I was preparing. Just to, spoiler alert, well, it's not really a spoiler alert, but it's just behind the scenes, how it's done, what goes into the magic of the show. This is all your brainchild, and you gave me a prompt and we came up with our own little plans of how we were going to execute it, and I have done myself a few pages of notes. I'm looking to mainly freewheel and throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks, so to speak. But one of the things that I thought about on reflection that I really like the idea of is essentially chronicling my views at this stage of my life. We were chatting before we started the show about how, some people might have an issue with how you might share stuff on social media, especially your Facebook wall. You might put up things you've done, or the obvious one is pictures, but sometimes just talk about stuff that's going on in your life. And some people may take issue with it and think that it's a bit strange and self-centered, but I think both of us agree that there have been times in our life when we've just had a spare hour or two and we've just happened to have flicked back through our Facebook timeline and get your memory jogged by things that you put up. And lots of the time I'm looking back and seeing memes that I shared that I forgot about, and it makes me laugh all over again. And the idea is that we chronicle our ideas and thoughts and reactions to things that are happening right now, and that will stay as a testament for the rest of our lives that we can look back at. At the very least, if we get absolutely no listeners whatsoever, no one's interested at all, at least we've got that to fall back on. So I suppose that's what I was thinking.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree. It's like essentially what you say about the social media, because I do think that, well, certainly in my life, the social media, particularly Facebook, has almost taken the place of a journal or a diary. I guess the key difference, of course, being that it's a very public journal or diary, depending on how many friends you have or whichever. Okay, cool. Well, look, hopefully that gives you guys an idea of what we're doing, why we're doing it. This is the pilot episode, so we're going to see how this goes. I love the idea of and this is pie in the sky, but 2 or 3 years from now, people might be searching through the back catalogue and be like, oh my God, remember the pilot when they didn't know what they were doing and the sound quality was awful. Like, I love all that. So let's just dive in. So our first we obviously have to have a word from our sponsors. So we're going to take a quick advert break.
So I said, look at me like that one more time, sunshine. You'll be sucking down your Sunday dinner through a straw for the next 6 months. And then I lamped him. Anyway, who you got your money on? I'm backing Silver Racer. Bookies give me good odds.
I'm a bit more sensible with my money, mate. For example, for my investment needs, I use Bloco. Bloco is an independent loaning agency who relates to absolutely anyone. You can borrow with Swifty tenants to get a cheeky value in wherever you want. With representative APR of 1,000%, its financial service ombudsman strongly discourage anyone from using their services. The acting CEO currently has all of his assets frozen pending a criminal law investigation.
It may not be authorised by the FCA, but blimey, they pull a good point.
Bloco, it's where the blokes go. Well, that was unusual, but I guess we have to go with what we're given at the moment. Hopefully, the standard of adverts will be improving as we progress. But anyway, let's jump straight in with our first segment, which is headlines. So, Dude, Law, and I have chosen a couple of headlines each. We're going to throw them out there. We're going to have a discussion. So, Dude, Law, why don't you hit me with your first headline?
All right, so let's start off with a bit of controversy. Never afraid of that, are we?
Certainly not. Certainly not.
Is Trump a racist? It's been in the news. It's been on Twitter. Trump told a group of what he's called progressive Democrat congresswomen, which includes Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, who's kind of the darling of the Democrats, the leftist Democrats, I might say, right now. Go back to your own country. I'm paraphrasing, but the whole "go back to your own country" rhetoric, which has been heard from racists from time immemorial. So obviously the connection was, if you're saying anything along these lines, you must be a racist. There has been a constant narrative in US politics from the start of Trump getting involved in the presidential candidacy race to his being elected to the entirety of his current premiership, that he is racist. There have been some concrete examples in relation to his sort of housing practices, I believe. And there have been hearsay, and there have been some recordings, and he's definitely said coarse things in the past. Obviously, he said comments about Mexican immigrants. But the issue we've got to really look at here, I should preface this with the fact that, okay, I'm British, Kalkarot's British, but I think we both agree that the really important stuff that happens in America does affect our lives in the UK. Politically, I would say that the US is often a foreshadowing of how things are going to turn out in the UK. But also, the US is a huge, really important country. We were dragged into the Iraq War because of the US, and I believe that that's because we have this close relationship with the US. I think that whatever the fate of the US is always going to be closely tied into the fate of the UK. So it's definitely in our best interests to keep tabs on and know what's going on with, and I suppose get some way invested in what's happening with their leadership. But the issue that I always a bit worried about. I don't know what you think about it, but I'm worried. I mean, me personally, I think I probably would have voted for Hillary Clinton in the 2016 election, mainly because I figured that she probably had quite a lot of executive experience in that actual position, or around there. So I thought she had the edge on experience and was probably well poised to be able to carry on whatever Obama had been putting together. And ultimately, I do believe that moving towards some kind of universal healthcare system is probably healthy for the US. Obviously, people massively disagree with that. But anyway, I somewhat sympathise. I quite strongly sympathise with the Democrats and the left in America. And I often strategically like to put myself in their shoes and wonder how do you get yourself out of the situation of Trump being in power, and obviously Trump going on to win a second term. There's been a huge preoccupation with trying to get Trump what's the word, ejected from his presidency. It happened to Bill Clinton. I can't think of the word. No.
You mean, for God's sake, happened to Nixon as well. Forced out of office.
Now we're suffering with our word finding. And
all I can think of is abdicate, because
no, it's not abdication.
I appreciate it. Impeach.
There it is. Impeach. Yeah. So there's been a concerted drive to impeach Trump. But I don't think that that's been the right way to go about things. It's still going on with Russia. I was never really particularly convinced. I always thought it was some kind of grasping at straws element. And frankly, I think this whole element of Trump's a racist, you're a racist if you vote for Trump, I don't think it's the right strategy, frankly. You know, Trump may be a racist. He probably has some racialist views in his head. I'm not sure he's really expressed them. I think that his comments have largely been taken out of context. But I wouldn't be surprised if he had some elements of racism in his head, and I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people who say they aren't racist have some elements of racism in their thinking. But he's not David Dukes. You know, he's not a dyed-in-the-wool racist by any stretch of imagination. And I'm worried that when you accuse your opponents of actually being something quite heinous, you know, racist, but they're not, that's really insulting. We spoke about this before the show, and you talked about how it was an insult, and I totally agree. I think that if you suggest that the people who are thinking about voting for Trump, as the incumbent president, you would expect that he would have the large advantage anyway, are all racist, unilaterally, universally. I think you're setting yourself up you're painting yourself into a really bad corner, and I think it's very difficult to defend yourself against moderates if you're going to start decrying them immediately as racist if they even think about voting for Trump. So, what's your thoughts about this? Is Trump a racist, and what's your thoughts about accusing the other side?
So, you've packed a lot into that kickoff episode on the bang. This is great. Firstly, is Trump a racist? I don't know. I have no idea. I agree with you. He's said things that potentially are racially charged. There probably is. You know, I think he's as racist as any 60-plus white guy who grew up in privilege is. How racist is that? Is there a racism scale? These are all really difficult questions. But again, fundamentally, I don't know. However, what I do have more of an opinion on, and I think you've alluded to this quite nicely without maybe expressly saying it, is that if you are trying to get Trump impeached or at least prevent him from being re-elected, then trying to tarnish him or tie him with the racist label isn't the way to do it, because I think that it's quite almost juvenile, a tactic. And actually, ironically, it would almost backfire, because for me, the people out there who are on the far right, which you may label as racist, they're going to hear that and think, "Oh, great, I'm a racist. Trump's a racist. I'm going to vote for him." And then the people who are, as you say, moderate or more centralist, may look at it as, well, criticize what he's actually done. Don't take one line out of context and then characterize him as this, this demon, and go that way, because I don't think it's something that will be taken too seriously by the people in the middle. So as a strategy for outing him, or his impeachment or preventing his re-election, I don't think it is an effective strategy. I think it makes the people making the accusations look desperate, and look as though they are using broad strokes and making large assumptions based on not much, which is never a good way to win a debate or influence other people. I think it's so funny, isn't it? Because these sorts of comments and headlines have dominated his presidency so far. There hasn't been a huge amount of talk on what's actually happened to the economy, to employment levels, to all the standard measurements of how successful or unsuccessful any political leader is. There's not a lot of talk around that, and I actually, speaking from my own experience here in Britain, there are people that we had this anti-Trump rally with the blimp and everything. It's funny, and they were interviewing people on the street. So what is it you don't like about Donald Trump? Oh, he's an idiot. Oh, okay, why do you say that? Oh, he's just an idiot. Yeah, but what are you basing that on? You've read a headline somewhere, taken that as gospel, and now that bases your entire political view. And ultimately, this guy's the leader of the free world. He's the most powerful person on the planet. Why? It's a very divisive thing. And look, at the end of the day, if he is racist, then obviously he should be impeached. There's no two ways about that. The deeper question is he truly racist? Well, my answer would be that, probably, but has he done anything actually racist to the extent he deserves to be impeached? Not yet. If he does, he will. But in terms of using it as as an argument against him, I just think that any argument against someone at this level and with this serious consequence, it needs to be based in fact. It needs to be based on empirical evidence rather than hearsay, broad assumptions. And as you say, it's a really strong accusation. I mean, it's probably up there with murderer, whatever. It's I'm not accusing, I'm not saying it's the same level, but I'm just saying if you had to list the 5 worst things you could accuse someone of, for me, racist would be really high up there. It's a really, really serious accusation. So yeah, it's interesting. Again, just to summarize, I guess, if he is racist, he should be impeached. You cannot have a racist president. That's not a good thing. But I'm not convinced that he is, and I am convinced that it's not your best sword, if you like, in the fight. I think there are other ways in which you can achieve your goal of impeachment. I'm confident.
Well, I'm not sure impeachment is the best. I think just defeating him.
I find,
election.
But I think, well, I mean, for starters, present a decent candidate, because you spoke about Hillary Clinton, and again, not American, didn't have a vote. But if I had, I'd have been really, really torn, because I just think that Hillary Clinton was so fundamentally unlikable and unlikable that I would have had a hard time voting for her, because for me, a lot of it comes down to the individual rather than the party or the politics, because the party or the politics are a constant, and it's rare that people change their political alliance based on the individual. But in this case, I do think that there was a degree of that. And you go from Barack Obama, one of the most charismatic and likable leaders, I would argue ever, to Hillary Clinton. It's just wow. So my advice, if you like, and not that I'm in a position to give advice, and not that I'm expecting anyone to follow it, but present a better candidate at the next elections, and that would be my strength. Focus on your own strengths rather than just trying to tarnish the person on the other side of the room. I think that's the far higher ground and a better position to win your argument from.
Yeah, agreed.
Cool. Anything to add to that?
Nope.
Okay, awesome. So why don't we move on to my headline? So my headline, I forget the news source. Let me double check. I'm pretty confident it was just BBC News. It may have been Sky News. If I don't find it in the next 5 seconds, it was Sky News. So Sky News released an article that's titled "Smoking to be ended in the UK by 2030." Leaked. I'm using air quotes here. Leaked proposal reveals. So 2 quick ones to get out of the way off the bat, because they're not the main points of discussion I wanted to have with you. But one, leaked proposal, bollocks, that's not true. It's deliberately been leaked, or it's been handed to some journalist or whichever. I don't believe in leaked proposals. I think the world's too smart for that these days. And the second thing is that subjectively, I am a massive anti-smoker. I absolutely hate smoking. If I could put something in the room when I want, it'd be cigarettes. So there is that emotional element to me that thinks absolutely brilliant. However, more objectively, I guess, I'm not using the term very, very well there, but I guess if I'm, trying to look at it from all angles, the bigger question here is the right of governments to prevent people from doing something which you can make arguments about secondhand smoke, and I get it. And again, I hate smoking, so I'm fighting my own almost belief system here. But the secondhand smoke argument aside, it's largely someone inflicting it on themselves, and actually, where do we draw the line between, okay, definitely don't murder anyone, that 100% has to be illegal, and I don't know, alcohol, should alcohol be illegal? It's bad for you. Why should we let people do it? Where does smoking lie on that scale? And actually, is there an argument for, people should be able to do whatever they want as long as it's not directly harming someone else or impinging on their rights, or whatever? Again, my personal belief, because I'm a strong anti-smoker, is make it illegal, get rid of it. Why wouldn't you? But my greater interest here is the whole role in government in policing people and helping them make smart choices as opposed to forcing them to make smart choices. Or that's kind of the angle I wanted to work on here. What are your thoughts?
I'm not really a big fan of government getting involved in people's personal lives. That's my starting position. I'm sort of quasi-libertarian in that way, I suppose. But I am a fan of government shaping the decisions of citizens, kind of in the direction that they want to take society, which may be in the benefit of a large number of people or a small number of people, whatever decision they have to make. But shaping decisions is fine by me. I think that's totally understandable. And it's quite easy to vote someone in or out based on their decisions to legislate in favour of, pushing people in the right direction. A good example is people's investment behaviour can be easily manipulated by changing the law in relation to taxes. So you can make it financially beneficial to invest your money in property and rent out that property and acquire more properties and rent them out by removing or reducing capital gains tax on the sale of the property or reducing income tax on the rental income. That kind of behaviour modification, in my view, is quite sanitised, and I like it. It does give the government a lot of control over the behaviour of people. I suppose you can argue that it starts to get pretty aggressive when you're talking about very personal, very clear things, which is obviously going to affect a cross section of society that may actually punish poor people more than rich people. For example, duties. So alcohol duty, it can get really, really high, and you end up half of the cost of some booze is going to be tax, and that's behaviour modification. That's behaviour control, really. I mean, the ultimate example of what you're talking about here, but in relation to changing, but this kind of population control is making the tax on cigarettes 5 times what it is now. Effectively, you're making it illegal, really, because you're making it so outrageously prohibitive that no one's ever going to want to do it. And the only people who can get around it essentially are by, getting black market cigarettes, which probably is the answer to if they made smoking illegal outright. But personally, I'm more a fan of that kind of behaviour manipulation than outright making things illegal. But in terms of the question, do I actually think that they should make it illegal for the betterment of people and their society and their families? Probably not. Probably not.
So my only retort, slightly, I completely understand what you're saying, and there's a lot of merit to what you're saying, but my only retort would be, ethically, where do you stand on, look, you can kill yourself as long as we profit from it as the government.
Hey?
So let's take your example.
Right. Okay, so you mean that kind of population control, right? Well,
because I could argue that you're not going to prevent it. What you are going to do is mean that someone living on minimum income is going to end up making ridiculous financial decisions of prioritising cigarettes over food, for example. I can 100% see that happening. And again, for me, you have to be very careful about the sort of message you're sending as a government, because what I would see that as is, look, it's a really stupid thing to do, but if you want to do it, as long as we're benefiting from it financially, then fill your boots.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, all I'm saying is that it's a slightly defanged version of directly prohibiting people from doing things to themselves, which isn't going to harm anyone else. Because the argument is that secondhand smoke does harm people, and it inevitably is going to harm children pretty much all the time. Especially if you say to someone you can do it in the comfort of your own home, you're obviously going to end up exposing children to it. There's that. I mean, you could make the same argument there about fatty foods and trans fat high foods and sugar. You could make the same argument actually. You could just illegalize sugar. I mean, how much death does sugar cause, right, in terms of heart disease and metabolic illnesses, diabetes? How much death and illness and decay and damage does sugar cause? You just ban that. I mean, you sanitize society, you just ban everything that people enjoy doing. I'm not sure about that. I'm actually quite a big fan of a sugar tax, and then I'm a fan of taxing sugar and subsidising vegetables.
Yeah, no, these are all very valid points.
And I'm a fan of taxing, slightly more taxing cigarettes and putting the extra money into the NHS for dealing with the people who end up with medical complications relating to smoking.
So
I like the practicality of that.
we're gonna end it. We are gonna end it there because we need to have an ad break and go on to our next section. However, the idea of you increase the tax and then spend the money on treating the issue. Oh my god! So it's going out of the bank.
I'm employing a philosophical concept that Hegel, I don't know exactly if that's how you pronounce it, stated the British to have, which was of pragmatic liberalism, and you are employing a principled argument that may be considered some kind of Kantian argument, which is basically, here's my principle. I don't really believe you should allow people to do themselves harm, and that's how you're approaching it. I think both approaches have merit.
Agreed. Okay, so we're just going to take a quick advert break now. Hopefully it'll be of a higher caliber than the previous, though I wouldn't hold my breath on that one. And we will catch you after the ads.
Playing a four-ball to old Quigley recently. You wouldn't believe the ignominy we had to endure. The golf cart only had 3 gears, and the champagne chiller only went to -2.
No, bugger me, what on earth did you do?
Well, I was in the middle of throttling the greenkeeper when a good chum of mine informed me that there was a better way to seek restitution for this particular predicament.
Oh, jolly good. What did he suggest?
www.spot. Platinum packages for the fabulously wealthy Spot.com.
Gosh, that rolls off the tongue rather nicely.
Quite. And the packages are simply marvellous. At the low price of £15,000 a round, your buggy not only has a land speed of over 200 miles per hour at full clip, it also has a bloody good personal chef, a sommelier. What's more, they'll fill up your Aston, press your jumpers, clean your mansion, and discipline your staff by the time you've finished the front 9.
What was it? www Spot. Platinum packages for the fabulously wealthy Spot.com.
See, my good man, one simply can't fail to remember it.
Well, that's all well and good, old sport. But one doesn't get fabulously wealthy by taking someone's first offer, does one?
Indeed, one doesn't. For a special 5% discount, simply append to the web address aforementioned /insultingly overexpensive and socially unacceptable lump sums of money to be spent superfluously.
Wow. So yeah, we really need to talk to our booker about those adverts. It's wow. Okay.
Bloody amateur out here. I don't know what's the deal.
We're already early days. I'm sure we'll be more highbrow in the future. Okay, cool. So our next segment, if you will, is big topic. So each week, Laura and I will, between us, we decide on a broader topic. So in the last segment, you'll have heard a few things that we said would be good for big topics. So the idea here is that this isn't something that's been in the news this week necessarily, or is even particularly topical. It can be philosophical, it can be really abstract, maybe it will be specific. But the idea is it's something that, we want to spend a little bit more time digging our teeth into, sinking our teeth into, whatever the correct parlance is there. So this week's big topic, the advancements in technology will always run in a positive correlation with the betterment of humanity. A simpler way of putting that is, if technology keeps getting better and more sophisticated and more advanced, is that necessarily always going to be to the benefit of society? Simplest terms possible, can technology go too far? So I'm going to open the debate with a couple of summary points. If you like, pick one up, introduce your own. Let's just riff here and see where we go. So I'd like to point out the obvious here, that there are some areas in which technological advancements are almost always going to be advantageous. So developments in medical science, obviously, if we cure cancer, amazing. Now we can talk about population. This is actually something that's quite funny, because it's something I actually did a little bit of research on prior to the show today. And if you look at population issues, and again, I assure you, I should have got a reference for this, but the evidence suggests that the developed world, not a problem at all. All of the overpopulation stuff is in the less developed world. So I think there's not really an argument against let's work hard to cure cancer. So I want to put that one to bed immediately. There are certain areas in which technological advancement is always beneficiary. Next thing, again, I'm just doing summary points here. Pick up what you will. We'll dive in. We'll ignore whatever. So convenience versus necessity. So this is a big thing for me with technology. they say that necessity was the mother of all invention. I really struggle to think that that is relevant in today's society. Now, look, I know people said that 100 years ago. I know people have been saying it as long as, man have been able to keep a record of what they're saying. But I genuinely believe that there's not a huge amount that's being worked on that actually changes our ability to do anything. So even if I were to use a really extreme example of teleportation, you get from A to B. We've been able to get from A to B for hundreds and hundreds of years. It's just a case of how quickly you can do it and what the implications of that are. So again, necessity. Even the internet, for me, it's access to information, which we kind of already had. Emails, SMS. So look, there are certain things, and again, I'm sure we'll come back to this, but there are certain things that you could argue. So the mobile phone, being able to communicate with anyone, anytime, anywhere, within certain limitations, obviously, with where the signal and whatnot. But that arguably we were never able to do that before. Communication had to be from fixed place to fixed place. But yeah, so I think a lot of technology these days is making something that we could already do more convenient. And I'd be interested in talking about, can something be too convenient? Is it a good thing that I can pretty much exist from my sofa? Install a toilet in the thing, and that's it. I'm good.
And you can become one of the people from WALL-E.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. The WALL-E.
Which seems to be
scenario.
Very, very interesting. It's may turn out to be prescient. Who knows?
I think we definitely need to come back to WALL-E, because that's kind of that really does present a nice.
Who would have known?
Present
Good old Pixar.
children's
film is just
but that's
insightful.
That's part of the magic of Pixar. A lot of their stuff is. You want the one in the corner there, dude. A lot of their stuff has a deeper meaning. There's stuff there for kids, for adults. Another topic, probably not a big topic, but I'm sure there'll be a headline.
They're clever people over at Pixar.
They are. They absolutely are. Steve Jobs, only person to ever be made CEO of 3 big companies at the same time. A whole other thing. Anyway, so yes, convenience versus necessity. Can something be too convenient? Necessity is obviously a good thing in virtually any circumstance. Dead tech, really quickly touch on the fact that if you look at the original statement, advancement in technology will always run in positive correlation with better humanity. Not all advancements in technology pan out. They have to be commercially viable in most cases. So, Concorde, Minidisc, Betamax, HD DVD, 3D TVs. There's all sorts of examples where the most, air quotes, sophisticated technology isn't the one that's most practical or, again, commercially viable. So there are other factors at play there. So there's dead tech. Ethics. So I think ethics is going to be a massive one. A couple of years ago was the first ever major technological advancements global ethical meet. And I'd be interested in talking about that. And then the final thing, and this is where we're really getting out there, and this is why there's a big topic, this is a big topic, but what is utopia? So what's a utopian society? So some people will argue that, you look at, some of the planets that are explored in Star Trek, or many other sci-fi or futuristic novels or whichever, and actually the idea is that man no longer has to work, man no longer has disease, there's no more money, there's no more prejudice, there's no more capitalism, blah blah. So is that actually utopia when you have total freedom to do whatever you want, whenever you want, unrestricted by anything? Is that a good thing? So those are kind of my subheadings, if you like, and my colleague Mr. Law here is making notes feverishly, so this is good, and I suspect we will dive deeper on some of them. But yeah, so those were just my sort of surface level thoughts. I have developed thoughts in each of those areas, but I'm keen to see which direction you want to take this in, Mr. Law.
Wow, that's really interesting.
I've thrown a lot at you there, I apologise.
No. Actually, funnily enough, I came up with a lot of similar broad areas of consideration. So I suppose one of the ones I really like, I think one of the most striking and central issues in relation to technology and its benefits and its use and its necessity is industrial revolution onwards. It's fixed farming onwards, to be honest. It's getting away from being nomads onwards. It's like humanity 50,000 years ago. Did they make the right choice to stop being entirely nomadic? And then 13,000 years ago, did they make the right choices to start arable farming? And you can go, did they make the right choice at any specific point? And I think one of the most serious departure points is the Industrial Revolution, because the concentration of humanity and the invalidation of humanity and the changing of the paradigm of what it is to be a human being is very stark when it comes to the Industrial Revolution, and it is it is really the process of leaving vast swathes of required activities to mechanical devices and totally removing humans and their agency from the elements, and ultimately giving people less sway in proportion to those in charge who happen to be benefiting from ownership of the mechanical devices, the spinning jenny and all that. Ted Kaczynski, I'm not precisely sure how to pronounce his name, the Unabomber, is a famous mathematician who went on a bombing campaign in America, and he's still alive actually, he's about 77, and he did it because he was very much against the advancement of technology, and essentially, in paraphrasing his points, the Industrial Revolution was a mistake, and it's a concept called primitivism, where you question the fundamental benefit to humanity of industrialization and of making things more efficient. I'm not ultimately particularly persuaded by his broad point of very much being anti-technological, but I can see where he's coming from, and I can see where you are coming from, and you made a really interesting split between advancements in technology which come about as a result of a total vacuum of supply, and those which come about as a result of making more efficient something which we already have in supply. So like mobile, the capability to make telephone calls from not a fixed position is a brand new addition to the technological vocabulary of the species. But making your phone capable of performing the same calculations that the NASA computers were capable of performing in order to get you to the moon is not any new step. It's really just a concentration of what we already have, and ultimately precisely what you said is that you are talking about providing a brand new activity or action that humans can perform versus taking an action that humans already can perform and making it much faster, exponentially faster. And
Do you mind if I cut in just for a second?
Go ahead.
So you've articulated that wonderfully, and so there's quite a few things to digest there. But so with the Industrial Revolution and do you say primitivism?
Primitivism is
that's a really interesting concept. So the idea basically there is that we were happy as we were, and that actually we're not as we're worse off from. But I think we've kind of spoken about that. So the second thing there was the was the convenience thing again. So again, it's for me part of this is what do we do at the time? If we get to the space where we have no demand on our day, for me a lot of it comes back to what would we do at the time? And the ultimate irony would be if we then choose to do the things that we've made irrelevant. So if we choose to go to work, if we choose to run after something, if we choose to, you know what I mean? Like, so
I totally know what you mean.
And I think people would.
You were talking about it earlier, and I think it's a very good point that I didn't really have an answer to. If we had a suit that you could wear that made...
This was off air.
Off air. Cal suggested if you had a suit that could just basically feed you precisely what you needed, you never had to engage in eating, would you still want to eat for the process of it? Definitely very interesting point, and I could not provide a straightforward answer, and I can't provide a straightforward answer. I'm pretty sure that we are designed to be itinerant and to do work. We're evolutionarily designed.
But this is the thing. So this is where it becomes really interesting, because in theory, if this process was slow enough, we would evolve and adapt to it. And so what I mean by that is that we would be designed. Designed is probably the wrong word, but we would be
heavily conditioned.
Socially conditioned. Well, we would be in a position whereby we're not going against our own nature. If that makes sense.
I don't know if the word evolution is the right word.
No, okay, evolution is the right word. Okay, but I believe that our capability exceeds our ability to handle it. That's a really
That's
reductive,
a fantastically good point.
But that's basically what it comes down to for me.
Look, it's such a good point. I totally agree. And that's extremely well expressed, and it's kind of a riff on the concept of the devil makes work for idle hands,
Right.
Which is an interesting little maxim which has been passed down through the generations, and I have no idea where it started.
But this okay. Another way of putting this is that this is about can we completely remove ourselves from the natural order?
Yes, that's exactly a very, very good point.
And I believe that if the two went hand in hand, i.e. the progress was slow enough and we adapted and our brains were wired differently and whatever, then it wouldn't necessarily be an issue. But my problem is that take this is such a basic example, but if we didn't need to exercise, then not exercise wouldn't be a problem. But we do need to exercise. That's the way our genetic makeup is at the moment. That's our biology. That's our instinct. That's how the body works. The reason I picked this topic is I do think it's fascinating because again, it's that Wall-E scenario. Do we want to be floating around in chairs and not interacting with? Like, there's that scene, isn't there, where they bump into each other and there's human contact and they freak out, right?
Yeah.
That and that's like, I don't know.
Well,
man.
Look. Okay, so we're getting into where any consideration of this topic always ends up, which is sci-fi. Frankly, it's
Right.
always a topic of sci-fi.
Yeah.
This is what half of all sci-fi concerns itself with, and I personally think it's very, very fascinating.
I agree.
And
It's half of Star Trek's appeal. Right?
But the whole point is that I would say a large proportion of sci-fi is dystopian. I'm not sure if we're always bang on the money when it comes down to predicting the future. I think we're often a bit too framed in technological limitations. I don't know if you've seen sketches of what people thought that life would be like in the future when I'm not even sure at that point there was electric power. I'm pretty sure. I think there's sketches of what people thought life would be like in 100 years' time in the 1800s.
Right, we'd be living on the moon.
Late 1800s. Everyone's going around with small little they're little propellers, kind of like little gyrocopters and pulleys and stuff, and people are being carried along by shoes with little mechanical propellers.
So it's part of what you're saying here that we are limited by our own understanding, our ability to look forward. Blah, blah, blah. So we can't conceptualize.
No. I'm not saying anything systemic like that. I'm saying that I think people limit themselves too much, and I think people are too want to think of the worst case scenario without actually rationally thinking. Maybe they kind of just don't trust their own species enough. There's a lot of cynicism in humanity and a lot of short-sightedness. There's no doubt that we're in some level of trouble when it comes to climate. I don't know exactly how much, but I think we're definitely in some level. I think it's definitely some behaviours which just cannot carry on, polluting the oceans in such an aggressive fashion.
Don't get me started on plastic.
But I don't know, because my favourite sci-fi is without a shadow of a doubt Star Trek. Star Trek: The Next Generation is my favourite iteration of Star Trek. Star Trek is extremely.
Sorry, dude. Just quickly, Picard or Kirk?
Oh, that's such a difficult question.
Alright, okay, leave it. Carry on, sorry.
I cannot answer that.
No, okay, that's a hot topic.
That's the sort of question that keeps me up at night. I'm not sure I'll ever have decided that by the time I'm dead.
Yeah.
But,
okay, sorry, go on.
Yeah, sorry. In terms of Star Trek, it's laughable. It's laughable in Star Trek. All of the stuff that you talk about in Wall-E, right?
Yeah.
I thought about some other dystopias. You've got Arthur C. Clarke. He has about 5 or 6. He's done lots of short stories where there's plenty of dystopias happening.
Right.
Obviously, Huxley, Brave New World, in Frank Herbert's Dune. The whole point of Dune is that the AI got out of control and there was a gigantic war and they had to go dark because almost all of humanity was wiped out by the AI. They finally beat them, and then they sort of said, we're never getting back to that stage again, so we're never going to let technology get past a certain level. Terminator, Skynet.
Yeah,
It's classic.
Yeah,
it's classic. But Star Trek just laughs in the face of all of that.
Right.
It's actually hilarious because there are several episodes where people bring up pre that level of technological development issues, and they just say, "I can't believe that's an issue for you."
Yeah.
Because the whole point is in Star Trek, they've got far more efficient fuel sources,
Right.
and they have replicators,
Yeah.
which means that there's no hunger,
Right.
and that the concept of fuel scarcity is laughable.
Yeah.
The concept of water scarcity is laughable.
Right.
There's no famine. There's actually no money in Star Trek because everyone has so much stuff. They laugh at the concept of it.
Right.
So my point is that you're expressing issues that very possibly will be totally irrelevant.
So I'm gonna say this is I'm loving this, but one of the an aspect of the Prime Directive is that they're not allowed to even reveal their presence to pre-warp civilizations, right?
Yeah.
Because of how corruptible they would become. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So again, I think this part of one of the conclusions I'm drawing here is that if it is at a suitable rate of progression and we're able to adapt and adjust slowly and blah, 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 I think that's kind of okay. I think part of the issue for me at the moment is that it's going too quickly. We're not able to adapt. We're not even aware of the consequences of some of these things. Like social media, for example, no one has any clue what that's, what kids in 20 years are going to be like, growing up on social media.
God,
and again,
it's a micro point. Because I'm talking about stuff like if they discover and proliferate nuclear fusion, fuel will cost 0 pence.
Right.
It'll cost 1p to fill your car up to drive you
Which
for
is
a
a good
million
thing,
miles.
right?
Right? Can you imagine like how much life would change if your air travel had absolutely no pollution and was free essentially? Well, as close to free as you could possibly. Life would completely change.
Yeah.
And I don't even believe that nefarious capitalism would be able to get in the way of that level of change.
Okay, so this is interesting because this is coming back to what you were saying off air earlier about tipping point, right? So
exactly, this is a reverse tipping point,
right? So yeah, exactly. So at a certain stage, any argument I can make just get blown out because it's like, well, look, there's no famine, there's no disease, everyone's living for 200 years. What the hell? This is how could you possibly? There's no. Again, look, I'm a capitalist guy. I like capitalism, but obviously I'm more than aware of the flaws of it and the idea of okay, so look, if everyone's life is equal, that's only good if everyone's life is utopian, right? And if we can get to that point,
that's my point. Is it's a frolic, and we can end it now because we don't have to talk about because Star Trek may be totally wrong, totally over optimistic.
Yeah.
But in Star Trek, humanity is just one massive federation and one group.
Right.
In Earth, there isn't country divisions as far as I can recall.
I will say this though, Star Trek would be incredibly boring. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Star Trek would be incredibly boring if they didn't have the conflicts and the issues because there's still like guy wants girl rejects guy. You know what I mean? Like it's not like they live in the so they've removed like the big issues, but the smaller issues still exist. And I think
but that's part of the positivity of Star Trek.
Absolutely, of course.
Nothing is bad. Nothing. That literally, you cannot argue that anything is bad about life for the humans in Star Trek.
Well, apart from the ones that get assimilated on the board, right?
With the exception of the aliens,
right.
the antagonistic aliens,
yeah.
which have to be added from outside because life is so good for the humans without them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right.
It's actually.
I'm sure I could think of an example of two humans, not getting on in Star Trek, and
that's
calmish humans.
No, that's why life is calm, Nooney, and Singh. But that's why life is so good because it has so much freedom for us to be humans and to just entreat any of our desires and develop ourselves in any specific direction because you have replicators and you have holodecks and all of that good stuff. But that's way too optimistic when it comes to most dystopian, but most sci-fi. You're talking about total eradication of the human species by sort of 2077.
Well, I think a common thread across those, and look, you've referenced some great authors and bodies of work and all the rest of it, but I think a common thread amongst that is AI, and I think AI is definitely a hot topic, and I think that's something that should have come up more in this conversation, and I agree that we need to probably wrap this up and put a pin in AI because AI is, that's the one that scares me a little bit. Just in terms of, I don't know, man.
I think you're totally right. I think AI is it's the if you consider that making things efficient is the worst of the two things out of making a brand new thing and making something efficient,
This
AI is the
ultimate
arch
efficient.
enemy.
Yeah,
It's the absolute maximum.
It's the ultimate efficiency, and when it figures out that humans aren't efficient. Anyway, look, I think AI is another conversation. That's what I'd actually like to do some research on. But again, again, back to commercial viability. Like, I think you'd be naive to think that the technology that is in everyday life is the pinnacle. There are lots in.
Oh no, you're absolutely
in Silicon Valley
I was
where
gonna touch on
everyone's on self-driving cars. You know what I mean?
I was going to touch on that point.
I guarantee you, Bill Gates' phone is better than mine. You know what I mean?
But in terms of industry not necessarily being particularly focused on the betterment of humanity and the use of technology for that.
But it's not, right?
Like I said, I told you before previously a few days ago that there was something that came out in Forbes about how a very big pharmaceutical industry player had an internal memo or some sort of internal document.
Slow down the cure, right?
No, just stated simply, outrightly, at the rate that we're going to cure all the diseases that we provide medicine for. It's not good look for our long-term outcomes. We're going to have to work out some solution. Obviously, the implication is stop developing so much in terms of eliminating this disease. The other suggestions that they had were slightly more, in fact, a lot more philanthropic. For example,
let's look at the pharmaceuticals.
Move on to the let's not get big pharma.
There's someone at the window
squashing us down. But they were talking about how they could broaden their market to sort of Africa or the developing world and sort of. That would be nice if they could tackle malaria with more.
You know what, like this, but
aggression.
again, and there's again, we have to put a pin in this because there's a whole big topic here about. And so I mentioned ethics. We haven't really spoken about ethics yet, but again, you'd have to be naive to think that we couldn't solve half the world problems tomorrow if capitalism weren't a thing, right? That's quite a bold statement, but again, if the pharmaceutical industry were concentrated on malaria relief in Africa or whatever, I'm pretty confident they could crack it. You know what I mean? But there's no money in it, so why would they do it? And no government's going to fund it because then nothing else can be funded, right?
I agree.
But again, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole right now. But
no, it's such a great point because there could be a possible. I think right now we are in a situation where we could, in theory, we could feed everyone right now.
Well, but what level of abundance do we need for it to
That's
be like, okay,
those
even the super
point.
rich, we can't. There's nothing else we can give them. Now we're going to give it to them. What the fuck? Sorry.
There is absolutely an argument to say that there is no limit. There is absolutely no limit to what the upper class will take before they'll let it trickle down to
no crumb is too small to fall off the table, right?
Exactly. I mean, if you've done, you've seen the film Elysium, it gives an example of all the rich people just go off and live on a floating space station, and all the people back in Earth are in horrible conditions.
Right.
That's definitely a possibility. And by the way, unfortunately we haven't managed to get onto it, but my favourite sci-fi film ever is Gattaca, and it is the idea of a stratified society, very similar to Brave New World by Aldous Huxley, which if you haven't read that, I really recommend you read it because that's also talking about stratifying society based on essentially literally retarding fetuses to make sure that they have a genetic, not a genetic, but a developmental limit to what they'll ever be able to do in their life. And it's like, okay, well now you're born to be in the worker class. It's great to be in the worker class. Who wants to have to use their brain? Let's all be happy about being in the worker class. But in terms of Gattaca, that's all about the stratified society element. Is that essentially, this whole CRISPR babies type thing? They take that to the logical extreme, where rich people are able to genetically modify their children to be superhumans, and everyone else is stuck. And you introduce yourself by giving people a copy of your genetic profile.
Right.
Well, that sort of stuff, that's actually probably a lot more believable and understandable than Star Trek.
Yeah. But you know what's funny about that is I immediately think of, a couple hundred years ago, people paired off based on circumstance and genetics, right? So you're rich, you're tall, you're strong. I'm going to mate with you.
Obviously
that's not GM.
They've got a longer lifespan and all of that stuff. I mean, that's a fact.
Yeah.
But of course, we're talking about people who will be able to live 200 years. And someone who will be born to be programmed to be an Olympic level athlete.
Right. See, I'm not even. See, this is
a problem.
This is another big one that again we're not going to get into right now, but. GMing is just like, so there was this article a few months ago. I can't remember who the celebrity was, and I'm glad I can't actually, because I don't want to drop anyone in it or whatever. But there is one place on the planet where it is legal to pick the gender of your baby, effectively, right? And the amount of outcry and I again, this is a whole can
What
of
do you
worms.
mean by pick the gender of your baby?
So you can say I want a boy, and they'll just, that's it. You can have a boy.
Oh, well, I suppose you can brute force your way to that here.
I'm sure you can, but
You legally can abort.
You can just walk it. Yeah.
You can just literally find out the gender, abort. Find out.
Oh
the
no,
gender,
I'm not even
abort,
talking about that. I'm
until
talking
you get
about
to
like
the one you
they.
want.
I mean, you could do that, yeah,
Sadly.
which is awful. But
Yeah.
I'm sure that
I'm
happens.
not a
but-
big fan of that idea.
No. Let's not. Yeah. In no way do
Quite
we.
controversial, that.
Yeah. I meant more that like you can go to this clinic and say, look, I want a girl, make that happen. And they do it. And this idea of playing God, and if you remove natural so, and again, this comes back to the yin and yang, right? No good, no bad. Look, let's put a pin in it. Really interesting stuff, but we do need to move on. So let's go to another ad break.
Are you a fat lump with low self-esteem issues? Does going to the pool fill you with dread? Do you have anxiety about your expanding waistline? Do you have any exploitable anxieties at all?
Yes, I'm a big fat loser. It all started at school when my mom died, and the kids picked on me.
Shut up, Fatty! I got the offer for you. Now you and I both know the chances of you actually turning your life around are slim, which is the closest you'll ever get to that word. However, let's suspend reality for a moment and let me delude you into thinking, yes, you can. With Slim Jim, the only gym that will mercilessly fat shame you until you develop a healthy eating disorder and even deeper sense of self-loathing. Faster, love! Stronger, fast! You suck! You big fat loser!
Slim Jim, because you don't hate yourself enough.
All right, so that was another questionable advert from a company about whose existence in the prolonged space of time I'm not precisely confident. But best of luck to them. With a production quality like that, they're going to need it. The final topic, which we're going to be talking about in our pilot, our adventurous pilot, potentially ill-fated pilot, is slightly lighter. It's a top 5. Sometimes it's going to be a top 10. Sometimes it's going to be a greatest, just like Cal discussed at the beginning. But this one is something close to our hearts. It's The Simpsons. It's a top 5 Simpsons characters who aren't actually the Simpsons family. And I suppose I'll open the floor up to you, Cal.
Okay.
Hit me.
Okay.
What's your thoughts?
Okay, so I'm gonna give you my excuse me. What I thought. I'll give you my top 5 in reverse order. You give me your top 5 in reverse order. Let's see if there are any matches. Let's see where we disagree. If we agree on all of them, we can just talk. Let's just riff.
We can do that, but we've got a slight problem.
Go for it.
I overthink everything. I overanalyze everything.
Okay.
And in this one, you gave me a fantastic prompt, which was very succinct, but unfortunately I had to split it up into multiple categories. You said top 5 Simpsons characters which aren't the Simpsons family, but I have split it up into my top 5 regulars, my top 5 semi-regulars,
Holy cow.
my top 5 low frequency or one-offers, and my top 5 overall.
Oh my god. Okay, so let's do this.
You have to think on the fly now,
Okay,
Cal.
so you give me those categories. I'll give you my 5. Okay.
Woo!
This is totally-
Okay,
this
off
is
the cuff.
totally
This
off
is
the
going to be
cuff.
really hard, I promise you, because I had to look at a list of all Simpsons characters.
this is-
So I'm going to be impressed by your knowledge. If you can get some good quality one-offers, I'm going to be really impressed. I can't wait
All
to
right,
hear.
hang on.
All right.
So I want to put a prerequisite.
A caveat.
Yeah. I haven't watched The Simpsons for 20 years. I don't know anything past season 12. So there may be characters which, to me, are one-offs, but God knows they've probably come back at some point. But I would
Some
allow me
sweaty,
that caveat.
squeaky voiced nerd will say, "Excuse me, you do not
Yeah,
realise
yeah,
that's a repeated
yeah.
character
He was
in
in
season
episode
19,
26 in the background of
episode 135F."
Right.
Yeah.
Frame 4. So I would like to add that caveat for that particular category. But anyway, go on, shoot.
Right. So
What's the first category?
the top 5 regular characters.
Okay, fine. So this is in line with what I had prepared.
Yeah.
So in reverse order, and again, jump in where you want. Troy McClure, Mo the bartender, Mr. Burns, Lionel Hutz, Chief Wiggum. Okay, so I got Chief Wiggum first, Lionel Hutz second, Mr. Burns third, Mo the bartender fourth, and Troy McClure fifth.
Mo Sislak.
Oh, Sislak, correct.
Oh, that's a great list. That's a great list. Now,
How does it compare?
first of all, I'm going to tell you,
on.
every single one of these people is on one of my lists.
Okay.
And
yeah.
in my top 5 overall,
Yeah.
4 of those people are in my top 5.
I really thought that was. So where do we? So let's start with a disagreement. Who have you not got?
In the top 5, I don't have Mo.
Okay.
He would be really high.
Yeah. Okay.
But-
can I guess your 5th?
Go ahead.
I'm really torn here between Sideshow Bob or Krusty.
Krusty.
Krusty. Okay. All right. Okay. So
You
you're
know
gonna
me
have to,
too well.
You're gonna have to
know me too
justify.
well.
You're gonna have to justify that one to me. So why Krusty?
No, we'll get onto that in a bit.
Okay. All right.
Do you want to hear what I have for my...
I want to hear your categories because I want to see if I can off the cuff.
So you've given me a 5, and that's unbelievably similar, and we did not discuss this at all.
No,
we didn't discuss it. I can't believe. So I'll just tell you my order for my overall.
Can I also just say that for me, I want to just say that Ralph was my honourable mention.
Hank Scorpio was my honourable mention.
Regular character?
No, that's overall.
Okay. Oh, fine. Okay.
That's overall.
Of course, because you're sub.
Because he's such a good character. I can't believe how good Hank. It's just the most ridiculous. But anyway,
Is that Phil Hartman as well?
I don't think so.
No, it's not. It's not. Sorry. Go on.
Anyway. Right.
Next category.
So,
and again, this is
I'm just going to tell you my top 5 overall, the order I have them, because it's slightly different from you.
Okay.
So you had 1 Wiggum, 2 Huts, 3 Burns, 4 Mo, 5 Troy.
Yeah.
I had 1 Burns, 2 Huts, 3 Wiggum, 4 Troy, and 5 Krusty. How crazy! I can't believe it. That just shows you how in line our sense of humour are. Anyway, so in terms of regulars,
okay.
You've already given me that. So my regulars, because obviously some of the ones that you gave aren't regulars, were in reverse order: 5 Skinner, 4 Mo, 3 Krusty, 2 Wiggum, 1 Burns.
Okay.
Right. So pretty close.
Skinner.
So
Next category.
this is the one where you have to give me an
off the
answer
cuff,
first.
okay.
The top 5 semi-regular characters.
Semi-regular.
So they're more regular than
Okay.
one-offs, and they appear more than a few times.
Yeah. Top of my head. Comic book guy.
Ooh. And where would that go? 5?
Oh, dude, I can't order them. Give me a second. Comic book guy. Sideshow Bob. See, this is a blurred line for me as to what counts as semi-regular.
Yeah. No, both of them are semi-regular.
Yeah, so they're obvious semi-regular to me. So, Duffman, would we count Duffman as semi-regular?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, fine. Duffman. Barney, how would we...
Oh, no, he's definitely a regular.
Okay, fine.
No, is he? Because he's...
What about Lenny and Carl? Can I have them as one person?
I'm going out to stalk Lenny and
Carl.
Oh God, there was a really funny joke about Carl. It was about Lenny or about Carl, and it was actually in one of the more recent episodes around so for me, I cut off my liking of The Simpsons at about season 9, and I believe it was
9.
I believe it was in season 10. Which is probably an episode that was written for season 9, because half the episodes in season 9 were written in the season 8 writing process. But the season 10 joke that I really liked, where they were talking about how it was either Lenny or Carl threw a really subpar New Year's Eve party because there wasn't even a clock. Anyway, so you said Duffman. Okay, Lenny and Carl, I love it.
Okay, I want them as one though, right?
Yeah, that 100%.
Okay, I need one more semi-regular character. Give me Diamond Joe Quimby.
Yep.
Mayor
Beautiful.
Quimby.
Beautiful. So shall I give you my 5?
Yes. Yeah, go on.
Okay, so there's 2 ones that I believe count as semi-regular, which you voted in your top.
Okay.
So that's Lionel Hutz and Troy McClure.
Yeah, semi-regular,
So
that's fine.
my number 1 was Lionel Hutz.
Yeah.
My number 2 is
No,
Troy McClure.
money down.
No, money down. Works on contingency. Number 3, I'm kind of surprised.
Still got it.
Yeah, I moved for one of those stoppy things. You mean? Yeah. Well, I can't remember what's he talking about? Adjournment or something like that?
Adjournment. Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not wearing a tie at all. I mean, come on, are you kidding me?
I know.
Which is the cases 1 in 30 minutes or your pizza's free. And he turns up and his briefcase is just full of shredded paper. Why? It doesn't have to be. Anyway, it's Smoking Monkey. Oh, mate. All the jokes of Lionheart. Troy McClure, number 2. Rainier Wolfcastle, number 3. Surely.
Goggles, they do nothing.
Yeah, no, but
Yeah,
sure,
Rainier's
McBain,
good.
because that counts as McBain.
Right.
His whole, that's the joke, how could I be expected to avenge my partner's death with this pea shooter?
It's not in the book.
Goodbye, book.
Yeah. In this department, we go by the book. By book. Yeah.
He's in
Okay.
the ice sculpture. Anyway,
Yeah. Does he say "ice to see you"? No. "Ice to see you" is what Arnold Schwarzenegger says.
Schwarzenegger is-
Yeah, which is
very
hilarious
well.
because it's so similar.
Yeah.
I can't remember what he said. I love McBain to base, under attack by commie Nazis. and the guy goes, "I surrender," and he says, "Not so fast," and breaks his neck. Anyway, yeah. I love the fact that they're delivering like a ton of pennies for children in Oxfam. they just airdrop them. Anyway, that's just...
Sorry, go on.
From here, they appear to be tied, but I will go in for a closer look. I just love Rainier Wolfcastle. I think it's absolutely genius. Number 4. I'm kind of surprised you missed this. But I can see arguments for all of your... I'm not sure about Comic Book Guy.
Really?
Yeah, I might actually vote Professor Frink over Comic Book Guy.
Professor Frank, that's a really good one.
But Hans Moleman.
Do you know, that's so funny. Hans Moleman came to mind.
I was saying Boo Earns is like one of the greatest lines of all time in all comedies.
True. I was saying Boo Earns.
Why would you say Boo Earns?
You saying Boo Earns. I was saying
It's one of my favourite lines of all time.
what is the situation where he's like, I'm 34.
Yeah,
Like,
alcohol has ruined my life.
that's right.
Yeah. It may be the case
dear.
that...
And man getting hit in the groin.
Man getting hit in the groin. Yeah. Maybe he doesn't say enough funny things.
Well, this is
Maybe
my thing, right? So I had him on the list at some point, and I was like, hang on, I can name like 3 jokes.
Yeah.
And that's in like, even by my limited Simpsons, 12, 15 years. Anyway, carry on. It's a fine choice.
I love that you went for Sideshow Bob and Diamond Joe Quimby because they have that fantastic episode where they're against each other.
Yes.
And he's just
What
does it say? Diamond Joe Quimby. He even supported the early release of Sideshow Bob. A man twice convicted for attempted murder. Vote for Sideshow Bob. Oh my god. Revolving door prisons, yeah.
What's the one where they walk in on Quimby and he's in the motel with some like hook or whatever?
By the way, he was number 5. Mayor Quimby is number 5.
What's the one where they walk into the motel? Oh no, I'm not going to get this. He has a fantastic line. Don't worry, it doesn't matter.
I love the
Vote
one.
Quimby or something like
He always has like a bag of cash.
Yeah,
I love the one when he rides off on a horse and gets into a plane. yeah. Oh my god. That's so good. And of course, the number 1 jumping out of the window is, this bird's got to fly. And that's winning. And I also really like Dr. Nick when he's like, it's such a nice day outside. Yes, not Dr. Nick.
the left thing's connected to my
Wristwatch. Yeah,
Okay, next bag.
if it isn't my old friend Mr. McCraig with a leg for an arm and an arm for a leg. Okay, so top 5 low frequency or one offers. Oh, this is an exciting one. I really want to see what you get.
Okay.
This is so hard.
So I absolutely love
By the way, no one's said Millhouse, but carry on.
Oh, Millhouse.
Thrill Home.
Everything's coming up Millhouse. Thrill Home.
Thrill Home. Welcome, Thrill Home. Anyway, sorry. Carry on. He's probably like number 6.
Yeah, like, come on, we could do 10.
God, he's such a good character. He's
a great
ridiculously funny. He's just sitting there in the CIA hunting down. There he is, trying to take him alive.
Reverend Lovejoy.
Oh,
Ned Flanders.
Ned Flanders. Yeah. Oh,
okay, there's a ton. Okay, one-offs. So here's the thing, they're going to come to mind, and I know your list is going to be better than mine because I am struggling here. But I love, what's Reverend Lovejoy's daughter called?
I don't know. That's an episode written by Conan O'Brien.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, wow. That's
Season
a great
4.
tidbit.
Yeah.
I think she's brilliant. I can't remember her name. Dustin Hoffman's character in The Teacher. Do you know what?
Oh God, that's one of the
but
most
problem
touching characters of all time.
Yeah. Remember you.
That's
on Lisa
Mr.
Simpson.
Bergstrom.
Yes, Mr. Bergstrom. Thank you very much. Do you know what? The problem with that though is that it's not the character; it's the episode.
That
When
counts.
Homer
That
goes
counts.
up to the museum and it's a voluntary donation, and he,
no, Mr. Bergstrom, you don't have to pay. It's voluntary. That's oh my god. And he suspects Lisa's like, her dad's helping her with homework, and then he meets him, and he's like, okay.
Okay, yeah, then he's not.
And Hoffman's just a great. Okay, one
It's
off.
such a beautiful character.
Cecil.
Cecil. I love the way that he says his name.
Cecil. Oh, for God's sake, what's their last name? Telwiger. Cecil Telwiger. It's I absolutely love Fraser. I love.
Oh, it's so good.
David Hyde Pierce.
Yeah.
Oh my! And again, I'm sure Cecil's appeared in future episodes, but for me, he's a one-off.
No, he's low frequency.
Right, but for me, I've seen him in one episode.
If Sideshow Bob is semi-regular, then Cecil is low frequency.
Right. Okay. How many have I got? 3.
Yeah, no, I can't remember what your number one was. Your not number one, your first one. Your first one.
First one was Fee's daughter.
Oh, okay.
Lovejoy's daughter.
Lovejoy's daughter, Mr. Bergstrom, Cecil Thulwiger.
Yeah. Telwiger. One-offs. Oh man, this is. Do you know what? Do your list because this is too hard.
This is
Off the cuff, it's too hard.
Oh, I want to say a special mention for the library guy who's like, your band.
Oh yeah, and your children,
and your children's children for 3 months.
Yeah,
and
right.
I have every respect for the office of time crier, but this is far beyond your jurisdiction. Anyway, oh my god,
that's fantastic.
You have arthritis? Okay. Oh, too good. Okay. My top 5 low frequency or one-offers. Number 5. This is kind of like a combo, so I don't know if it counts, but it's Shelbyville Abe / Shelbyville Homer.
From the lemon tree.
Yeah, banish the evil lemon tree, and now let's all celebrate with a nice cool glass of turnip juice. Shake harder, boy! Too
My
good.
name's Bill.
The whole Shelbyville alternate universe is just so hilarious.
The
I love
grass
it.
is different colours.
Yeah, yeah.
That is.
They go around hooting. I love that episode.
That's
It's
a fantastic
funny too.
episode.
Okay, number 4. This is a controversial one, but I think this is great because of the one line. To be honest with you, Leonard Nimoy as himself in the monorail episode.
What's the line? No, hang on. What's the line? Wherever there's, wherever there. Just tell me the line.
No, actually, you know what? I can't exactly remember. But it's like
It's
he's
when
like,
he's presenting the monorail
he's like, but you didn't do anything, and he's like, didn't
Exactly.
I?
Yeah. And then he like fades away as everything's
Yeah.
To be fair, he's actually. I can recall 2 episodes he's in because he's
in
the
a
monorail,
Halloween House of Horror. Yeah.
but he's also in the Homer discovers the alien, right?
Yes. Okay, but it's definitely low frequency.
Wherever there's mystery, I appear.
Yeah. But
And
he's always
can I
great.
just say R.I.P. Leonard Nimoy. So sad when he
absolutely,
died.
yeah.
Loved him.
What a legend.
Absolutely, yeah.
He's
Childhood hero.
the perfect foil to Kirk in Star
Yeah,
Trek.
yeah,
absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely perfect. What an amazing actor.
Yeah.
So
Again, play yourself. But anyway,
number
character-
but I just love the jokes.
Yeah,
Like you said, it's about the joke. Okay, number 3. For me, it's got to be Lawrence Larry Montgomery Burns.
Oh, Rodney Dangerfield!
Rodney Dangerfield!
Oh my god!
Annihilating
That's such
it.
a good one.
Rodney
That's
Dangerfield.
you know he improv the whole thing, right?
He
Literally
exactly.
Turned up,
If you
got
listen
the script,
to
ripped it up.
listen to Weinstein and the other guy who were the showrunners for season 7 and 8.
Yeah.
They just talked about how Dangerfield just rocked up.
Yeah.
And just they put a mic on him and he didn't stop saying one-liners
Yeah.
for the entire time.
Yeah.
And they
She's not done
struggled.
yet. Like-
They struggled. She's not done yet. They struggled. If this is too good, I got some crap. It's too funny. Oh my god. That's every line in that show is ridiculously funny.
Brilliant.
My god.
That's such a good one. That's such a good one.
It's too good. Yeah. I could go on. And yeah, Rodney Dangerfield, absolutely amazing comedy.
Again, legend.
Yeah.
Absolute comedy legend. If anyone out there hasn't seen Dangerfield, his stuff's quite old now. YouTube him, if you like one-liner comedians, his whole, just watch it. Honestly, just go and
It's
watch
like
it.
one of the fathers.
People don't even know, the amount of modern day comics that attribute their inspiration and his comedy club. Absolute legend of the genre. I strongly recommend checking it
An
out. on
absolute
YouTube.
master of subtlety.
Yeah.
Just so put together. Oh man.
Total tangent.
As
I think
good as it
Caddyshack.
gets. Yeah, and he's in that. Yeah, absolutely amazing. Number 2 character. Yeah, for low frequency or once offers. And by the way, if you're interested, go and get a copy of the DVD of that series of The Simpsons. It's either series 7 or 8. Get both of them, but it's very well worth it.
You should have the whole set. Dude.
You should, because every single season, every single episode, they have multiple people in to discuss it. They've had Jay Leno in. They've had Conan O'Brien in. They have very, very funny people. They make funny jokes and they tell you very funny inside stuff.
When we do a big topic, one of the big topics I want to do is the influence of media streaming and Netflix and blah blah blah. And for me, one of the things that's lost is all these extended features.
Totally
I love digging into the bonus feed,
totally agree.
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
And it's gone. Right?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Are you kidding me? Like the making of Lord of the Rings. Oh, look, we could just get on. We
Right.
could go on and on and on about that stuff.
Right.
So, I really recommend.
Not to mention the fact that for anyone out there that doesn't realise this, the stuff you're watching on Netflix is often the watered down, shortened, whatever version, and the DVD extended, uncut, whatever you want to call it. Like, I cannot tell you enough. Deadpool 2 extended, which I have on Blu-ray. Like, I guarantee you, the one that gets on Netflix in 5 years, it's not going to be the same. Anyway, sorry, total tangent.
Which is actually why I'm quite happy that on for a surprising term, I do believe that Netflix has the extended edition of Lord of the Rings. But
It does. You're absolutely right. But that's like a
That's so
definitive extended. That's like a separate release.
it's like a different film.
Right.
It's a joke. How
I
much
mean, you
they
need a
missed
lot
out.
of time, right? But
They cut out so much stuff from the book, and then they cut out so much stuff from that.
right,
But anyway,
and it's still brilliant.
it's
either way.
still amazing.
Yeah.
It's one of the best adaptations of all time. Anyway,
Yeah.
So sorry, I've got cut off, and I still haven't said what I said.
Yeah.
What I wanted to say. On that commentary of the DVD of either season 7 or 8, get both of them. They start reading out one-liners that they wrote down that Rodney Dangerfield was saying, and they're cracking up, and they're just so funny, and it's kind of horrifying that stuff that they couldn't even put on the show is that funny.
Right.
Oh man, what you could made a whole season out of that character.
Right.
Anyway,
Can I just again, I really, really want to encourage our listeners to go and listen to Rodney Dangerfield. I want to give you a flavour of it. So his whole shtick is against one-liners about how bad his life is and how he gets no respect, and it's really
no
good.
respect, you know?
No respect, I tell you. But he says, "Man, oh man, I come from a quiet village. Why, in my village, the local prostitute's a virgin."
it's too quick. It's too quick.
That's just to give it a
That's too
flavour.
good. That's too quick.
But yeah, delivery wasn't great there. But anyway,
love it. No,
go
no,
on,
it's close
who
enough,
else
close
is?
enough.
Who else is?
So we got Shelbyville Abe / Shelbyville Homer
Yeah.
as number 5. Leonard Nimoy as himself as number 4.
Yeah.
Lawrence Larry Montgomery Burns as number 3.
Yeah.
Number 2, Johnny Tightlips.
Sorry, Johnny Titus. It was either Johnny Titus or Sammy the Squealer.
Goes and immediately squeals at the idea of it. Yeah.
Where'd
And
they shoot you? I ain't saying nothing.
what do we tell the doctor? Tell him to go suck a lemon. I mean, that's all he says, right? That's all it is. But it's
that's-
such a good line.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that character so much. It's too funny.
It's great.
It fits
Johnny
perfectly.
Titus.
Sammy the Squealer or Johnny Tightlips.
Someone's been telling on us. Well, it's either Johnny Titus or Sammy the Squealer. Have we spoken about Fat Tony at all?
He
Is
was
he-
so
I'm sure
funny.
he's on
He
the
was
list
he was
somewhere.
like in the top 10.
Right,
He was in
right,
the top 10.
He's got some
really funny.
Yeah.
Oh, he's great.
What's it when they're display? The film. Like,
Superintendent Chalmers, by the way.
yeah,
Super
of course.
Nintendo Chalmers got to be up there.
Why is Ralph not on my top 5? I'm starting to regret that.
I knew you were going to say Ralph, and I'm surprised you didn't. But personally, he's not in my top 5.
Danger. He's like, oh my god.
Did that boy say my favorite line? Did that boy say what's a battle? No.
No.
He said what's that rattle? He must have been talking about the air conditioning. I see. So I can't remember exactly how he says it, but Principal Skinner says, "I have a cold," and then Superintendent Chalmers says, "So you hear R's as B's." I love it.
Oh man.
I'm pretty sure he said, "What's that? What's the battle?" Anyway, number 1 was Hank Scorpio.
It's very good. That
Hank
is good.
Scorpio's too funny.
Yeah.
Everything he says is hilarious. The whole episode is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
And my favourite bit, apart from the fact that I didn't even give you my coat, and he looks really flustered, and he's put his coat on backwards, and he's taking it off Homer. Hang it up in the wall. In this place we don't believe in corners or whatever.
Yeah.
It's walls. But it's when he asks him for a hammock. He's like, "Do you know where I can go and get a hammock?" And he basically
Hammocks.
he's like, you can go to the hammock store on Fifth,
Yeah.
or you can go to the hammock floor
Emporium,
of the mega store, or there's the hammock Hammock Emporium.
Hammocks.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously it's the fact that he's just like casually fighting off like Mr. Bond.
Yeah.
They have the whole Goldfinger.
You could kill someone on your way out. That'd be great.
Yeah, you take a flamethrower. Yeah. It's too good.
It is brilliant.
He's happy.
I'm kicking myself. I can't remember who guest stars because it's someone good. Someone good plays Scorpio, but who would give me your list again one more time? Sorry.
What of those?
Yeah.
Shelbyville Abe, Shelbyville Homer 5th,
Yeah.
Leonard Nimoy 4th,
Yeah.
Larry Burns 3,
Yeah.
Johnny Tight-Lips 2, and Hank Scorpio 1.
Okay.
Maybe Johnny Tight-Lips could be pushed out for something else. If you
No. I think that's good.
He's a great character.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Dangerfield's gone straight to the top of my list now. I cannot believe I omitted him. Okay, cool. What's next category?
It's just overall.
Okay, fine. So let's look at our overalls again because again we kind of agreed, but like, why don't we just?
Unbelievable how much we agreed on. So the only disagreement we had was that
Mo.
you said Mo gets
Yeah.
top 5,
Yeah.
and he's like number 7 for me.
Right.
And then mine was Krusty.
Right.
That's so close.
So okay.
I can't believe that we agreed.
Let's just pay a little bit of tribute to the characters we share, and then let's dispute Mo versus Krusty. I'll make an argument for Mo. You can make an argument for Krusty. So Chief Wiggum is number 1. I think he's like your number 3. Is that right?
He's my number 3.
Yeah. Okay. So Wiggum, bake away toys. Like just oh man, that guy. Every episode he's in, Krusty. Sideshow Bob is a cancer on society, and I'm. Boys, what cures cancer? Oh, nothing, Chief. It's just like he's just. Oh my god!
I need an APB on a use twist R duo. Chief, you're really good upside down.
Yeah.
Chief, you're talking into your wallet. Oh god, and Wiggum. Yeah, right, buddy. An elephant ran through your backyard.
Yeah.
Wiggum. Yeah, right, buddy. An elephant knocked over your postbox. Wiggum. Yeah, right, buddy. Liquor store robbery, officer down. I'm Edward G. Robinson.
So good. And what is it? Chief, you don't really think that Sideshow Bob's changed, do you? Well, Bart, if he really hadn't changed, would he have invited the number 1 cop in town to his wedding? Now, where did I put my gun? Oh, I left it by the cake in his kid's hands. That's just... Oh man,
He shoots the TV to turn it off.
Yeah.
I love.
Oh my god,
This gas is really curing my asthma. Listen to me breathe.
Yeah. Acne still there. Oh my god. And when the
favorite line? Probably my second favorite line is when he says, "Wait." We'll wait until it goes under the big net in the park because they're trying to catch a cougar. And
yes.
Wait until it goes under the big net in the park.
Yeah.
And he's like, and then down comes the net, right, Chief? Hey,
Yeah.
I like it. And then obviously when he gives that piece of Millhouse's clothing to the rabid dogs.
Yeah.
are those dogs gonna find my son or kill him? You just kind of tailed off there.
Right. Just jump in. I realised I didn't finish my one-offs. I would like to add Pierce Brosnan's character to my list. The episode where you're going to find the treasure under the big T, or whatever it is. That's a great episode. The cat burglar, and they.
That's Pierce Brosnan. I didn't know that was Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
And they form the
the
vigilante group, and
you
got to provide your own doorknobs.
But that's not that character. That episode's too funny.
But again, that's what I'm saying. Character.
That's so funny.
Beer Baron. Who's the Rex
Banner?
Rex Banner. Is it Rex Banner? I don't know, but whoever that is, that's a great. So where are you getting the boost? So it's like what? Like when he grabs Barney and he's like, "Oh my god!" And the pet. What kind of pet shop's got music on at 4 a.m. in the morning? The best damn pet shop in town. Oh my
I just love it. What kind of? Answer me this. What kind of pet shop has hot jazz music and rambunctious yahoos at 4 a.m. in the morning? No.
Oh, the best damn pet shop in town. That's okay. So that rounds up my 5.
I'll get you, Beer Baron.
Yeah.
No, you won't. Yes, I will.
Well, what? Okay. So
By the
we're
way,
going.
neither of us has said Cletus.
But again, there's such a limited list of what he's done or said. Like that episode where the kids get taken from Homer and Marge, and they go to the parenting school, and Cletus and Homer do the I love you, Cletus, I love you, Pa.
Let's stop the fuss and then the feud.
What does he say? I don't eat the cat again. Are you looking for a savior? Nope, but I'll take them sacks of money off you. So he has moments, but anyway. So Chief Wiggum, that's not well, doing him justice. Lionel Huttside next. We've already talked about Lionel Hutz. We don't need to do that. Mr. Burns. Mr. Burns, Last Exit from Springfield has got to be top 3 episode all time. When he comes out and he does the Grinch impression, they're singing about prances. They're singing that, like, that's just, oh my God. Burns is...
God, that's so funny. I love all of it.
So good. Burns is so good.
Well, this is why Burns number 1 for me.
Right. Go on, hit me with your best Burns.
Well, my favourite Burns is when he just uses extremely complicated words or old-timey expressions.
Right.
And it's the fact that they were able... Because the writers of The Simpsons, half of them are Harvard educated. They're all English geniuses. They're all absolute masters of... manipulating words in hilarious ways. I just love the way that,
is it when he describes
Burns
the car?
drives by in his little motormobile when, like, I think Marge is, like, at the... She's working at the Quickie Mart, and he wanted to pump some gas. She's like, "You there? Fill this wagon up with petroleum distillate quickly." And then she's like, "Okay." And of course that ties in with when he's making, he's looking after himself and he's saying to Homer, "I'm sure I can work out which pedal is the velocitation and which one the deceleratrix." I just love that.
Yeah, that's great.
A rock flies through his window and he says, "Smithers, a bird has become petrified and lost its sense of direction." "I'm pretty sure that's a rock, sir." "We'll see what the lab has to say about that."
When he goes crazy and opens the casino and he makes Smithers get in the plane.
"We can take the spruce moose." Yeah, I love that. And he sees germs on everyone's face.
Yeah.
God.
Oh, there's just endless Burns. Any flashback to his childhood, it's like 100 years ago.
Oh, but are you kidding me? That's so funny.
It's brilliant.
Oh my God, that line when he goes, "You can't treat the working man like this. One day we'll unionize, and then we'll get too big for our boots, blah, blah, blah."
Oh, we did alive by the Japanese. Those sandal wearing.
Yeah, his dad goes, "The Japanese? Those sandal wearing goldfish tenders? Phooey." And then Mr. Burns says, "If only we'd listened to that boy instead of walling him up in the abandoned If only we'd listened to that boy instead of walling him up in the abandoned coke oven." It's so good. The abandoned coke oven. Oh my God, that is too funny.
And anything that's in reference to his age. And when Marge takes a picture of him,
he calls donuts, and he says, "I told you I don't like ethnic food." Are you referring to the fact that Jewish people invented it? Oh my God, popularised them in England. Sorry, in the UK, in the US. The way he calls ice cream iced cream. Oh, I always had my mace.
Yes.
The song about see my vest, see my vest.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Come
There's so many Burns episodes. Okay, cool. So what was... I think we
By
have one
the way, none of us mentioned Blackheart. I don't know if that's worth it.
Blackheart?
Yeah, that wasn't part of the deal, Blackheart. That wasn't part. Dad, I'm pretty sure he's an ivory dealer. His boots are made of ivory, his hat's made of ivory. I'm pretty sure that check is made of ivory. Lisa... Now, a guy whose ivory supplies are high is less likely to need it than the guys whose supplies are low.
That's great. I mean, we'll have to do an episode on Homer and like top 10 Homer moments because the reason I said non-Simpson characters is really Homer and Bart. Just, Anyway, who else? Lionel Hutz, Troy McClure. My God, the episode with him and Selma or Patty or whoever. Oh my God! When, he's got this thing about fish, and you may remember me for some daters last night.
And he goes, "Ha ha ha! That was so funny. I can't remember when I've heard a funnier anecdote. Now you tell one." That's too funny. "Hi, my name's Troy McClure. You may remember me from such films as Christmas Ape and Christmas Ape 2. Christmas Ape goes to summer camp." Christmas Ape goes to summer camp. The president's neck is missing.
Oh my God. And Alice's adventures through the windshield. Oh my God. Yeah, okay, cool. So let's round this out with... I'm going to argue, Mo.
Professor... What's the contabulous fab traction
the film he makes
Professor Horatio Hofnagel. Oh my God.
It's brilliant. Okay, cool. So I'll argue for Mo. You argue for Krusty, and then we'll wrap this thing. Wow. So
you have a tough time.
So I'm not going to argue against Krusty because Krusty was close for me. But for me, Mo is just like, I mean, the prank calls. And I get that that's partly Bart, and so maybe that's not fair. But just like, can I get this IP freely here? Hey everybody! Like, I love that so much because it's like an integral part of the first 5 or 6 series. Like, and he's like. Kid gorgeous, kid good looking, kid average, and then eventually kid Mo.
Kid ugly,
kid ugly,
kid Mo.
Yeah, kid. Just, oh man, he's such a central character to so many of my favorite episodes, my favorite plot lines. The one when the X-Files episode where they come into the bar and he's like, "Oh my god, the feds! Like, get him back to SeaWorld!" Like. That's so good. And when he has the plan to like sell the car, and he's like, "Chief, look at that park job, and then Homer rolls out and rolls straight back in. Like, oh my god, like so many episodes. Like, so for me, Krusty is always like a throwaway gag, whereas I can't think of many Krusty-centric episodes. Like, there's Homer Goes to Clown College, but I would say that's a Homer episode. Okay, give me Krusty. Why Krusty?
Well, I think your argument's really solid for Mo.
There's no right or wrong.
Yeah, I think your argument's really solid for Mo. And obviously, when it came to the regular characters, Mo was one below Krusty on my list. So I'm not at all going to argue any of those points. For me, Krusty provides bigger top end laughs.
Okay.
Mo is a permanent character, always probably more central to the plot, and like you say, everything's framed around him, and he does have some fantastic lines. But for me, some of Krusty's lines are my absolute favourite. You know, I I really like when he's getting the eagle is kind of like sitting on his head, and she's like, "The eagle is really digging into my head."
Yeah, she must be trying to protect her
eggs.
eggs.
Yeah. Just like, why is it attacking me? She must think you're after her eggs. I only ate one.
Yeah.
I mean, the episode when he goes into the recording booth with Malibu Stacy. And he turns up and he's like, "Listen, kid, watch Professional." And he just rattles off his lines.
And the guy having a bit of tape in.
And one of the lines, he's just like, he just like, he repeats it. And he's like, "See, that's how it's done," and leaves. And the guy's like, "Oh, okay.
We're ready for you now,
That's too funny. I mean, let's say the film moved me to a bigger house.
That's a
God, I
fantastic
said
line.
the loud part quiet and the quiet part loud. And obviously...
I'll also give you, like, anytime they cut back from an Itchy Scratchy episode and he reacts, like the one where he's like, "Oh my god, that's the worst thing I've ever seen." That episode, by the way, where Marge, like, ruins... Oh my... And the kids all play out.
Oh, that episode. And his face, after they show the share and love and love and share and love.
Yeah.
And his face is just like...
Yeah.
By the way, Troy McClure... in 22 short films about Springfield. I can't remember. Is that the one when they have like we've got a question from Professor blah blah blah, and he's like, dear Mr. McClure, I think that Homer gets stupider every year, and he's like, that's not a profession. That's not a question, Professor. And when they show Tracy Ullman shorts, and then it just cuts to his face. And he's just like totally shocked at how terrible it is. He goes, "Ah!"
We totally left off Kent Brockman. We haven't even mentioned Kent Brockman.
Oh my god.
Kent Brockman has one of my all-time... So maybe one day we'll do a top 10 Simpsons lines. I don't know. But Argle Bargle or Foo-Fa-Ra is just... Oh my god. I was absolutely in bits the first time I saw that. And when he's talking about like worshipping the ant overlords...
No, that's probably my top 3 Simpsons gag of all time.
Really?
The whole, ladies and gentlemen, the feed is cut, but from what we saw, it's clear what's happened. The Corvair aircraft has been taken over, conquered, if you will, by a giant race of, a master race of giant space ants. It's unsure whether the ants will eat their captives or merely enslave them.
Yeah.
But one thing is for certain. The ants will not be stopped.
Yeah.
And I, for one, welcome our new insect overlords.
Yeah.
I'd like to remind them that as a trusted celebrity, I could be useful in helping round other people. Useful in helping round up other people to toil in their underground sugar caves. And in the time when he makes that change of mind, the graphics team managed to get up a picture of an ant standing on 2 legs, wearing trousers, whipping a businessman.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, that's making me laugh too much.
Yeah, and he's like, and then he has to
Deep
apologise.
Space Army is one of the best episodes.
Yeah, it's absolutely.
It's top 3. In my
Yeah. Well, top 5. Anyway,
My top 3 are Bart Gets an Elephant, Deep Space Homer, and Last Exit to Springfield.
Last Exit Springfield, Homer Goes to College.
Homer Goes to College is a good one.
Homer
That
Goes-
crusty old dean.
Yes.
I'm sorry about the running over you prank. What, Inspector?
I suppose
That's
I
not
have
the
been.
one,
What is
Inspector.
it? I'm sorry, I've been a bit of an ogre. Yes, you have.
Yes, you have. Yeah.
Too good. Okay,
sorry,
cool.
yeah.
Look, let's.
Wait, hold on, because I was arguing for Krusty.
Yeah, dude, I don't think.
Camp Krusty? Oh, come on,
Oh,
Mr. Black.
Camp
Mr.
Krusty.
Black,
Yeah,
are you
yeah.
kidding me?
Yeah,
He's my
yeah.
bestest friend in the whole world, Mr. Black.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That scene when it's what's the bully called, Jimbo and Kearney,
Yeah.
yeah, and he's like, gentlemen, too evil. And then when Bart makes his appeal to Krusty, he's like, and one of the kids' campers was eaten by a bear. Oh my god! Well, actually, the bear just hit his hat. Was that a nice hat? Oh yeah. Oh my god! Like, and he takes it to Cancun. No, Tijuana. Like, oh my. Okay, you know what, Krusty. They all deserve it. The Simpsons is. We could talk about how they killed it and milked it and ruined it, whatever, but those first 10, 12, 9 in your case, whatever, that will never be topped. It's just, you're never going to have that many good writers. You're never going to have, it's just so
It's
damn
not possible nowadays
good.
because the writing by committee is so different nowadays.
Right.
Oh my god, it's so boring. It's
Oh,
so,
dude,
it's so
and
stupid.
it has to be mass
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is pretty good, but
It's not The Simpsons.
yeah, it's not. But
It's
I
not,
tell you
there's
what,
nothing-
Most of the stuff that comes out now isn't even close to that.
Right.
Jesus Christ,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
so
yeah,
formulaic, and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
designed to hit every demographic and make sure everyone
true.
has a little chuckle and a little
Yeah,
laugh,
yeah,
and it's
yeah.
not insulting anyone.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
It's so
Don't get me
awesome.
started.
Yeah. I mean, we could go on. All right, cool. Look, let's wrap. That's the pilot episode of Dude Chat. I've been Cal Carrot with my good colleague here, Dude Law. We hope you guys have enjoyed it. We've massively gone over what we planned time-wise, but we hope it's all worth it. Dude Law, any closing thoughts?
No, I'm just thinking of more across the lines.
Yeah,
I mean, are you kidding me? Like, no, wait a minute, hold on. Where is the Krusty comedy classic? The fact that it's KKK.
Right.
And he's just like, oh god, this is good. This is gonna go badly.
What's it when he
He
comes
tries
out
to
and
sing
does
the
that,
national
"He's so
anthem."
sorry when he does that.
He's
What's he going to do next to Rubber Dickie? You're right, that's a great episode. And he fakes, oh my god, the Canyonero episode. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Can you try it? What is it? Smells like a steak and seats 35, Canyonero.
Yeah.
Unexplained fires are a matter for the courts. And it's
2
just
lanes
Krusty
wide,
back.
68 tons, American pride.
And he knocks over the Boy Scouts and he's suddenly it while on fire. Okay, look, let's close it. That's a wrap. Thank you everyone that's listened, and we'll catch you next time on Dude Chat.
Nice one.
Dude Chat is not filmed and it's not in front of a live studio audience. However, if you would like to contact us, you need to simply go to
Facebook, Outlook. That's dudechat@outlook.com.
and leave us your opinion. We can't guarantee that we'll pay any attention to it.
Dude Chat.
Shut up, man. We're finished.